What's up, everybody? It's 2026. It's ImmaLetYouFinish show number 240. It's your host, Court and Amy. We're on the Pantheon Media Network. Blase blah, boozy boo, we're here.
And please, if you're listening to the show, please rate us. Please like us. We know you like us already. Read us. Leave
a review,
please.
Post the show, share it with friends, send Chicken McNuggets, send Knicks tickets.
No, don't send Chick. I don't think we want Knicks tickets right about now. But anyway,
I still want a ticket, even though I don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. And one of us wants the Chicken McNuggets.
Maybe. All right, maybe Tibbs is looking good right around now.
I don't know if that's that. I don't
all
know
right,
what's
anyway.
going on.
All right. Well, one thing that is going on is that we have a guest today, Stephen Blush, who is a prolific author, who's going to talk about When Rock Met Hip Hop, aka our lane. So he'll be here in a little bit, and I will once again question how come these books are being written and I'm not included. But that's a whole other issue I have to deal with therapy. I'm just saying. Are they
Courtney.
pulling
back? Are they pulling back from old articles from a certain era?
No, it's old interview. It's interviews. It's interviews with famous people.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk about it. It's very heavily. It's beautifully researched. But I just want to say, I'm just putting it out there. That's all. All right. So the Golden Globes were last week. I know nobody watches them, but obviously people do watch them because we're talking about it, and they seem to make a difference. I guess they're a lot less insane than they used to be because they actually have actual people who are not I guess all the people who used to vote for it can't get visas to come into the country anymore.
And it got sold. There's a new owner. There's all of that shit.
Yeah. Isn't it Dick Clark?
Used to be.
Dick Clark production?
I don't think it is anymore.
Okay. Well, Nikki Glaser, who I think is very funny, she did a really good job. She made fun of CBS, so that's always good. I don't understand. It feels like they made up this category knowing Sinners wasn't going to win anything. Here's the movie that made a lot of money that was actually really good.
Yeah.
So I think I think we can pretty much guarantee Sinners will not win an Academy Award. And don't come at me, sorry, because it's a black director. I think there's flaws with all the movies. The only movie I saw this year I loved One Battle After Another when I saw it, but I understand why people have issues with it. But the best movie I think I've seen all year is The Secret Agent, and that's all I want to say about that. It's a absolutely brilliant movie. But
the best movie I saw all season was Top Chef Canada, because I ain't seen no movies, but I did see Top Chef Canada.
I will say Secret Agent, it will be streaming soon. It's absolutely fantastic. I heard Sentimental Values. Can I say something and then we'll move on? This is a horrible thing to say. I think I need Tiana Taylor. I know she's having her moment, but I'm starting to get a little...
I have a friend who works in film who her whole...
I don't want to because I'm happy for her, and I thought she was great.
Her whole run and her publicity thing is driving him insane. It's driving him nuts.
And I understand
it. He feels like you a little bit.
I understand
and I always say to him, I'm like, she's been trying for a really long time. She's tried everything.
Years.
She's a dancer. I'm going to sing. I'm going to act. I'm happy that she's finally having the moment with one of the things happening. But I also understand the look up and see somebody one too many times and you're just like, oh, it's you again doing the bit. Okay.
Yeah, I understand she's a black. I understand all the.
Two things can be true and right at the same time.
At the same time.
We can be really happy and sometimes it's like, oh, it's you again.
Yeah, I'm kind of whatever. All right. So this is a brief because nothing has happened yet, but I know you're a huge fan of a marketing plan. Harry Styles is coming back, and let's just already say it. It's going to debut number one, and it's going to sell it's done, right? We don't even have to it's
even
done.
If the record was the worst record on the planet, he's huge. He's going to have a number one record here. He's going to have a number one record. I know at least in the UK, he'll probably have the number one record in Australia. Yeah. He will have a global
Germany,
number one record. Absolutely.
And he's already booked a residency at Madison Square Garden. So there you go.
We might need to try to go
no, it's been confirmed.
I heard that last one was
I had tickets to last. I had tickets
Yeah.
for the last one. My friend was going to take me, and I had a
Right. You
concussion,
sure did. Yeah,
and
you
I
did.
and so the concussion also made me forget that I was supposed to go. And I was on Fire Island visiting friends, and she called me. She goes, "Oh, where should I meet you tonight?" I'm like, "I don't know. Where should you meet me tonight? I'm on an island." And she goes, "We have Harry Styles tickets." I went, "Oh, well, I wouldn't be able to go anyway because I have a concussion, and being in Madison Square Garden with 19,000 people would probably send me into a psych ward." It's going to be a great record because you don't wait 4 years after a Grammy-winning, critically acclaimed record and put out shit. I'm sorry. This is what
Well, I'm
people
just
do.
going to
These
go
are
on the
what
track
people do for a
record. None
living.
of his solo work has been terrible. So I just don't think it'll be
None,
terrible
none.
because he doesn't seem to make terrible albums.
And also, people have tried to fill that lane. Damiano David, bless his heart, he's gorgeous, whatever. It just Harry Styles, for whatever it's worth, it always looks effortless with him and yet well thought out. He has a fantastic band. He has fantastic songwriting, and I think people really like him as a human being, which
Well,
really,
he's an
really.
old school rock star in the sense that in such a public world where everything is social media based, and yes, people have taken pictures of him in New York and seen him in Brooklyn and different places. He knows how to go away. And
Yes,
even though he may
and
have
he
made a
did.
movie or something, he knows how to go away, which I think
No,
in
he
this
did.
era of being a star, I
World.
think the reason why some of these stars are having, being like shot out of a cannon, right? You have this massive success out the gate, but then it burns out really fast is you've taken all the mystery away from yourself. When you show everybody, here's my home, here's everything about me, I don't go away, people don't miss it as much. And I think people like him, the Adeles of the world, they disappear. They're living their lives. Like there's an occasional paparazzi shot, somebody comes and gets them coming in and out of a restaurant, but they don't sit in our faces. We haven't seen Harry. So, and even with their,
Well, except for walking around with
yeah, which
Zoe
is great, right?
Kravitz.
But that's just, when you're in New York, that's why a lot of people, listen, some people, they hate to live in New York because New York is expensive as fuck and everything's crammed. But they love New York because at the same token, you see everybody here and people are just like, oh, okay, hey, and you keep it moving.
I have never seen Harry Styles walking down the street, but I'm in Fort Greene. I have seen some
Yeah.
famous people. I mean, but I can't. You look
And
at
Fort
him, you're
Greene
like,
wasn't
I'm
one of
not
the
sure if you're
sections he was
famous
in
or not.
Brooklyn. Wasn't he in like Bushwick or Williamsburg or
Williamsburg.
somewhere when he
No,
was
no, he
walking
was in
around? Yeah.
Williamsburg. He
Yeah.
was. Yeah, bless his heart. All right, we're gonna go briefly because on this only
Wait, what's the
because
name of the album? It has a really good title. It's something like Cry,
uh,
Kiss,
kissing occasionally,
and,
sometimes
and
disco
disco
or something
occasion,
like that.
kissing something, disco
Yeah,
occasionally.
always
Yeah.
kissing, dissing.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
sure, that
whatever
works.
that
Yeah,
is,
fine.
okay, I'm interested
Yeah,
in hearing what you're going to come with
that's
that.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm interested. Kissing and dancing are two good things. Yeah. Um, all right, just going to go briefly on this only because the next 3 weeks is going to be Bad Bunny Central, but the current commercial for his Super Bowl performance, the Apple Music commercial, is literally, they should have the Star Spangled Banner behind it, and it's tear inducing because it is everything that remains still good about America and everything that pisses MAGA off
Which
at
is
the
what
same
makes
time.
it
So we've
perfect.
posted the video,
Let me just tell you
which is
something.
what makes it
He's
perfect.
going to,
He doesn't say
I'm going
anything.
to tell you
He's going
now,
to kill.
without it even happening yet, he is going to have the highest rated Super Bowl show of halftime,
Oh, without a doubt.
and they are going
Without a
to
doubt.
melt down and try to die. And
I heard that Green Day. I've seen Green Day's name associated with this somehow, which would be amazing because Green Day is very. I don't see the mixture. Maybe Steven will know. I've heard that Green Day. I've seen Green Day, but I love Green Day is great and also super anti-Trump. So really, there will be heads exploding all over the country, and that's what we need. All right, I know you were not loving the Robin single Dopamine. I went back and listened to it. I'm not mad at it at all, and I like the two songs that are out now. And I like the idea. Okay, first off, I didn't know she had a kid, so I'm already Team Robin on that. I love the idea. Well, first off, she's in her 40s. That's why she still has a
yeah,
sex drive. So
yeah,
bless her heart. She hasn't gone through menopause yet. I
yeah, she's
love the idea.
46.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's yeah. I love that she name checks Adam Driver as a possible sperm donor. I think that's hilarious. I think it's going to be a fun record. I think it's going to be a fun record, and I'm not mad at the singles right now or the tracks. The track listing is on Spotify.
You know I love
I'm trying to
Robin.
discern what it's about.
I'm a Robin guy.
Um,
And I've never hated a Robin album. And I don't dislike these songs, but they have not grabbed me organically the way Robin music usually does. I'm going to go on the ride with her. I'm going to
yeah,
wait for a full album to see if this is one of those things where I like a song attached to the body of work. It makes a sense in the flow. It's kind of the way I felt
yeah.
about Break My Soul by Beyonce. Everybody was like, oh, I know you love that. She made a house record. And it's one of my least favorite records that she's ever done. But I like it. When I listen to the album, I like the way it flows and how that works. So I'm going to save my judgment for this full Robin album. Like, okay, Max Martin did Talk to Me. And I don't hate it. I don't love it. And I'm just kind of like, all right, so we're in a different phase of Max Martin again, right?
Oh, we've been in a different phase of Max Martin. Max Martin started as a heavy metal
Right.
musician. When I met Max Martin very briefly for a story I was doing in Sweden about Max Martin and Robin and Tito and all these people, he had hair down to his shoulders and he was very sweet. We were in a restaurant and we happened to see him and I went, hey, would you mind talking to me? And he goes, next time. And I'm like, oh, there will be no next
Right.
time. But I am not mad at it all. I'm not even going to talk about the Morrissey cancellations because at this point, it's like he canceled the show. Why do people keep booking him?
I think we
Why
need to do a
seriously,
story when he actually does the show.
he shows up.
When he
shows
does
up.
the
Yeah.
show,
I mean,
that's a story. Not when he cancels the
I
show.
said-
That's what I'm used to.
Right. He has a new album coming out. Who cares? Not me. And I said on our Facebook page that perhaps the dream tour will be him and Lauryn Hill. She'll show up 5 hours late and he just won't show
Listen,
up at all. And there's your
I have
dream
said
tour.
this to you a million times. I am of the generation, the college generation where the Smiths were a thing. I never understood the Smiths. I never got into them,
Me
and I
neither.
never was into him. So, but the people who, and I think people who love him because it reminds them of a time of their life, like when they were in school, because that was like, they were like a college band, and back then, that's when college really, you had full college departments and record companies, and college radio was a huge thing.
I know a lot of people. I think their impact, I think you have to, it's the John Peel sessions. I mean, again, they were revolutionary for their time because of what they were combining. There was not that combination of this kind of dry British wit, this kind of, and Johnny Marr, yeah, I was never a huge bit, but I think it's more than just, a college aspect, but I agree with you. All right. Bruce Springsteen has come out very forcefully against the ICE raids in Minneapolis. I don't know. I don't even think we need to have a discussion about what's going on in Minneapolis because there's no discussion, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know, and it's depressing, and it's Martin Luther King Day, and America is dying. But he has come out very, very forcefully. And what's so impactful about Springsteen, whether you like him or not as an artist, he is the MAGA audience in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
He
The
was
blue-
the
he
blue
was
collar
that guy.
collar. He was that guy for even though everybody misconstrued what Born in the USA was about, but what else is new?
America.
What else is new? Yeah, America. They're like, oh, he's got an American flag. He must be
Right.
yay, America. Because people all they heard was the Born in the USA part. But it makes a difference when he speaks out. It really does. And he did it in Jersey. And, the usual response of like, he's a fucking has-been. No, he is not. Because at any moment, he could, he'll do a worldwide tour and sell out. You know what I mean? He's not a has-been. So
Well, everybody
again,
likes to go to
I
their
don't even-
rudimentary words when they want to get mad. You're a has-been. Oh God, can you dig a little deeper in the thesaurus? Find another word to use.
I don't even think there's a thing as
Right.
a has-been in the age of streaming because at any moment you could be someone who had a hit for who's the person now that there's a big hit because of Stranger Things?
Oh yeah, that guy D-Lo and the song that he has, something,
Yeah,
Deja.
but he was
yeah.
a new thing. He wasn't a new. He was a new ongoing. I'm just talking. There's really in the age of residencies and Spotify and
Mm-hmm.
streaming and Instagram. I don't even think,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're like the guy who did what was his name from American Idol, the Asian guy who did the
Oh,
shebang,
William
or
Hung.
the right, or Gangnam
Mm-hmm.
Style. I don't really think there is a has been
Right.
anymore, but I am not mad at that. Bandcamp has banned the use of AI.
Okay.
Good. When I see,
Mm-hmm.
no, I mean, it's when I see artists saying that they're using AI to use
Mm-hmm.
music, I'm like, come on. Like if it's that difficult for you to come up with this, I'm not
I think that they have to figure out
there's
something different. I don't think the bans work. I think this is where something has been unleashed and you have to either figure out a new category for it, but you have to figure something out. It's the same thing when MP3s came and it was Napster and the record industry spent all that time and years fighting and trying to ban it, and it was only
Oh my God.
inevitable. AI is here. We may hate it, but we got to figure out a different way about or how to
Yeah.
tag it, but you can't shove it back in the bottle. So yeah.
No, I just, and some of it I will say with Bandcamp, there is a kind of virtue
Yeah.
signaling with it. Like we're
Hmm.
independent. All right, I just got Steve is having problems trying to log in. I'm trying to troubleshoot. Can we take
Oh yeah. You know what? We're going to take a quick
All
break,
right.
kids, because our guest is going to be coming back and we will be right back.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts, it knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief, and it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI, it's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
And we're back.
And we're back. Okay. So our guest today is Stephen. I wrote this all down. I'm so organized. Stephen Blush, who is you are a prolific author. And this is the third in a trilogy. This is called When Rock Met Hip Hop. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be
All
here.
right. And if you have a Bill Adler intro in your book, as long as you have Bill Adler or Fab Five Freddy or Nelson George in your book, you're legit. You know
Okay,
that, right?
thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
you're
that.
off. I sometimes get nervous if I'm watching a documentary and I don't see
Yeah,
Adler, who we're
I
old time
agree with
friends.
you.
No. He has to be there. He's
Yeah.
the eminence Gris. Um, so, no, my bone to pick with you is only because how come I'm never in these books, Steve? I
Well,
was
that I
the
can't help you with.
I was the bartender at A7 when the Beasties formed. I used to deny them alcohol. I used to say, "You guys can't even reach the bar." Literally.
I stand corrected on that.
All right. And one more thing, and then I'll praise the book. All right. So I just read in your bio that you booked the Dead Kennedys at Emerson College.
At George Washington University, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Emerson because
Yeah. No, I have a
I was
friend
the
who
road
booked that
manager
show.
for the Dead Kennedys.
Yeah, I remember Mike Rainey, the manager. Yep.
No. Excuse me.
Yeah. You were?
Yep. But not
Wow,
really.
okay. I'm learning.
It's just a Klaus wanted me to go on the show because I used to be their roommates, and they said, "Here, make up a set list," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then we can have a discussion off mic about what a horrible human being that former lead singer of theirs is. But I
Yes.
digress. Good morning. Hi.
I like the start of this already, yeah.
Yeah, we have a day off. So I teach a class in, both Courtney and I are New Yorkers. You're a New Yorker. I teach, don't even ask me, I teach in huge quotation marks at LIU at Rock Nation. And my favorite part of the class is when I talk to the students, like, as far as I'm concerned, like the apex of like, that whole downtown scene, because I was peripherally and sort of part of it as we all kind of were. But there is a great quote in this book. and you follow kind of the chronology of like, the beginnings of hip hop and rap, and then sort of that melding point in the 80s, and you keep kind of going. But there's a great quote from Pete Nice, and it's I'd love to start there. And he says, people romanticize that crossover. And I will say he does have a point, and he mentions when Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five opened up for the Clash at Bonds and they got booed.
Yeah.
I would contend by the time the Clash were playing Bonds, they were no longer a punk band.
Right.
They were a rock band, and they were being viewed like as, dude, train in vain. But I thought that really,
you got it. I was at those shows. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is an interesting thought. We tend to romanticize everything that happened when we were 20 to begin with, because we were 20.
Because we were 20, yeah.
Yeah. But talk about sorts of why you did 3 books, When Rock Met Reggae and When Rock Met Disco. I don't know if I'm doing it in the right order. So why, it seems obvious why you picked this genre, but explain it to us like we're 5-year-olds.
Sure. Well,
or 10-year-olds.
the first one was When Rock Met Disco.
Right.
And that was, when I'm writing about When Rock Met Disco or When Rock Met Reggae or When Rock Met Hip Hop, it's not the history of hip hop or reggae or disco. It's when they intersected, when they were most interesting. So when I'm talking about When Rock Met Disco, I'm talking about when the Rolling Stones did Miss You,
Emotional Rescue,
Kiss Did I Was Made for Loving You, or Queen,
Rod Stewart,
Rod Stewart. And they were, if you remember, the disco groups were kind of like these light jazz groups, put together by producers, and the rock bands, Kiss or whoever, these were bona fide rock bands. They toured for years, and so they really had they had really something to offer, in terms of the musicality. And when I'm talking about When Rock Met Reggae, I'm talking about like when the new wave bands did it, and these were, but again, when the Clash or the Police or even the Slits or one of these bands.
But that was, I will jump in. That was British, because British people were raised with reggae on the radio.
Correct.
Americans, yes. The first time we probably heard reggae, depending how old you were, was either Johnny Nash or oh God, the Israelites. I remember that song when I was a kid, but I'm old. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically the big chapter in that book is called From Kingston to Brixton, right?
Perfect.
So that's really what I'm talking about. That is more of a British phenomenon, but don't forget, Blondie doing it too. So
right.
it's and they did it. They did it better than the original. So
you talking
and
about
the
Titus High?
Great. Yeah.
You talking about Titus High?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the obvious one was When Rock Met Hip Hop,
right.
And that was something I could relate to. It's something I experienced. I didn't really. I'm a little too young to have seen. Like I bought the records and stuff, but I was a teenager when the disco crossover happened, and I was still a teenager turning 20 when the reggae thing.
Thank you for making me feel particularly old today. I will just go and drink my Geritol when I get.
So
it's all right.
But the hip hop crossover, I remember, being around Rick Rubin and being around, the Beastie Boys, right? So, being around Run DMC on that tour with the Beastie Boys, and
now, in what capacity were you over? Oh, you had a magazine, Seconds, right? That
right,
was your magazine. Yeah.
and I worked with Layla Turcan, right?
Okay.
So, as did many of us,
Yeah.
right? So, and she's, our connection, you know, uh, great publicist of that time. Um, but I digress. The and so I was around for the Run DMC Beastie Boys tour. I was around for when Rick Rubin was working with Slayer, because my taste kind of ran kind of the gamut like his did. Um,
Well, let me
and I
just. I'm
was
gonna.
around when Public Enemy a few years later did their Bring the Noise crossover with
Right.
Anthrax.
But here, let me just jump in for 1 second here because I want to kind of, if it's cool, to take it to the 80s and then kind of because New York in the 80s obviously was a very different New York it was now, and everything was centered around the Lower East Side and Soho to some extent. And I think, obviously I'm not the only one to say is the secret weapon in all of this stuff in many ways is Chris Stein and
Mm-hmm.
Debbie Harry,
Oh,
because they
absolutely.
were going up, going up to the Bronx. I mean, I wasn't going up to the freaking Bronx in
Yeah.
1981. I had a desire to live,
Yeah.
crazy me. I said, I can get jumped by the guys outside my building. I don't need to
Yep.
go to a whole other borough. But and the thing I think is important, and what I've noticed again in teaching and in being a fan like we all are, is authenticity, a word I can't stand, but authenticity. If Black audiences feel, and Courtney, as our resident Black spokesperson, please jump in. If Black audiences feel that the white artist is genuinely a fan and is not trying to Christopher Columbus it, they will respond. And I think that's why Rapture worked, because no one in a million years will ever consider Debbie Harry a rapper. But they had done Wild Style. And I think that they proved so that's why, in terms of disco, not to focus too much on that, nobody questioned why they were doing a disco song. Nobody questioned.
Well,
So
they
it's the
were
authenticity
themselves.
where
They didn't come in. They weren't trying to
yeah,
affect some sort of. This is what I think
yeah.
hip hop would be coming from this white lady and this group of white guys. They were just themselves doing their thing, and so
And reflecting what they heard,
it was like
which was
keeping your
what was
ear
in the
right. It was like
zeitgeist
keeping
back
your
then.
ear to the ground, and it was the perfect intersection of what was happening in New York. And it was kind of, this is when you and I have talked about this. It's like everything seems really separated now versus the downtown scene back then was small and people from every walk of life were in that scene. It was such a melting pot of everything.
The first time I ever danced to a rap record, I mean, I'd heard it before, was at A7. Because the DJ, I mean, they would just play it there. And it's funny, obviously the Beasties are the one who catch a lot of the flat, they were like, oh, there are tons of rap fans, mainly Black fans, who don't realize that they put out a second, third, fourth, and fifth records. They just know that first record, and they know Paul Revere. That's all and Brass Monkey. They know Paul Revere and Brass Monkey, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But they never even, and I've spent a lot of time in Beastie circles for reasons I don't feel like going into because I'm trying not to be filled with hate today in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, that's
But,
easy with those guys. Yep.
well, not because of them, because
Yeah.
of their circle.
Well, and the
Yeah.
truth
I have no
is, if
problem
we're
with
honest,
them.
after that first
But what I was
album,
gonna
they
say- I
weren't
was gonna
really
say-
marketed as hip hop anymore. They were kind of marketed almost like this other thing.
But
Yeah.
what I was going to say, yeah, that's true. But what I was going to say about that is that I don't think anyone ever thought they were trying to be Black. They were very much what New York City kids were like. And there was very much, if you grew up in New York and you were listening to the radio and you were musically inclined, you would be, to say you didn't hear hip hop, you'd be lying. Of course you heard it. You know what I mean? Of course you heard it. So I think that's why in a lot of ways they maintain integrity. I don't know whether third base, I don't know. I feel like I like them, but I feel like Serch, I don't want to beat up on Serch because he's a nice guy, but you know what I mean, right? I don't think
I do know what you mean. Yes.
I don't think the Beasties Boys trying to rep for Brooklyn Heights. It's what? But so there's that moment, and everybody's kind of all up in each other's faces. But what I always find really interesting, and I'm thinking about it now because the new A$AP Rocky single is Punk Rocky. Yeah. I sometimes feel like when black artists try to, and I'm all for black artists being weird. I applaud weird black kids. I think it's harder to be weird in many ways. I applaud the Afro-punk movement 100%. But I feel like sometimes they get it wrong. Like they think if they're just weird, they're embodying punk.
And I feel like that's all young artists. I'm not just going to put that on young black artists. I think when people, especially when people try to incorporate rock, I notice when artists who are not rock artists try to incorporate rock, sometimes they just fall for the most basic trope of what they think that's supposed to be and what that's supposed to look like. And you're just kind of like, did you just read page 1 of Wikipedia? I'm trying to understand. Could you have maybe flipped to page 6 and pulled out a reference?
Or they watched Spinal Tap and took the wrong message out of it.
Well, who do you think did it best? Who do you think had the best intersection, that seemed the most natural of rap, hip hop, and rock?
Well, look, it is the Beastie Boys, because they started with rock hard, the AC/DC rap, right. That was the first one, well, I mean, there's a time where there's this kind of zeitgeist, like my 10-cent word.
I used it already, so it's now a 12-cent word for you. Yeah. So
there was something in the air going on, with Run DMC.
Right.
It's very interesting. They recorded that studio on Green Street, where a lot
of Chungking?
No,
Green Street. I think it was called Green Street.
Yeah, Green Street. It was called Green Street Studios, from what I remember. And they were in there. There was a heavy metal band from New York that's kind of a cult band called Riot. And,
I remember them.
And they but they saw Riot performing in the studio when they were there, and they saw the possibilities. That's kind of like a hidden part of the history, with the Run DMC story. And then they, they brought in the lead guitar, like the heavy metal bands would, and they created a new sound. And, I think we should go back a little bit. The original hip hop, 79, 80, that's disco. That's the
for sure.
That's the Sugar Hill Gang, Sugar Hill Records, Rapper's Delight, Apache, New York, that kind of stuff. And that's that was disco records.
Right.
And then 81 is Rapture. 82 is an interesting record. Was when Futura 2000 did that record with The Clash.
Right.
I think that was a really important forgotten record. 83 is where Malcolm McLaren comes on the scene and kind of spreads hip hop to England.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
hadn't the MTV tour the MTV
Swatch
tour
Watch tour
had that gone there already?
The Swatch Watch tour was 83/84. Yeah.
Okay.
So you see this whole thing is happening. 84, 85 is Rockbox and King of Rock.
Well, also, I mean, the message, you have to throw that in there because that becomes
I meant to say them when I was talking about the Sugar Hill records. Yeah.
But, it's interesting. I have, as I'm sure you have, known Daryl, from a professional standpoint, but I've known him through the years. And he's spoken to my class. And for a hot minute, we were on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominating committee. And it's really funny because I think people think when they bring him into the mix for something musical, they're going to get like hardcore. He has the corniest, most album rock taste in the world. Like, he could literally make a case, and bless his heart, and it's sincere. And I think that's where that came from with Run DMC, because Russell sure as hell wasn't interested in that, and Joe wasn't interested in that. And a DJ is interested in, the Billy Squier beats. Obviously, I love that you do a whole chapter on Billy Squier, who I hope got royalties off of all that.
Well,
but
Billy Squier is one of the richest rock musicians out there.
Oh, good for him.
And
I guess that atoning for those
what's really interesting
videos.
about Billy Squier is that Billy Squier, by any measure, is like a mediocre rock musician.
I think not by any measure, by all measures.
Yeah.
He's horrible.
Right.
But,
so it's funny that of all people that it's him.
Can I make can I make an observation?
Yes.
Colleen over and Courtney again as the representative for Black people.
Yeah.
I have found over my years, both professionally and personally, surrounded by Black people, that many rappers have the worst taste in music ever.
Yeah.
And they will like whatever is, especially in the MTV generation, whatever was immediately put in front of them. They're like, oh yeah, Wang Chung, they're amazing. It's like, no, they're not. They're horrible. They're fucking horrible, man. Like, so I do think
I actually like Wang
there's
Chung.
a corn. Well, there you go. Thank you, Black person.
No,
okay,
they have a couple of
off.
albums that are not so terrible. And I've been having a Scritti Politti moment, but that's a whole other story.
But that's Scritti Politti. No, Scritti Politti is in a class. Come on, Scritti Politti is in a whole. We love. Like.
I like I like these name drops. These are good.
We're good at that. I know. Scritti Politti is amazing. Their current stuff is amazing. No, but there is a kind of cornball factor. One day before I die, I will do my impassioned. Why the fuck do Black people love Journey so much? I know why. But anyway, I digress again. But I do think that so it kind of moves from there, this kind of downtown thing, and then it spreads, and then it becomes, I guess, because Public Enemy is a rock band, let's face it. I mean, they're a rock band without any instruments, and that was always the issue in terms of, when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not that that's the be-all and end-all, but it is important. They had a hard time with soloists because they needed a band. But, they couldn't understand how you don't have something that looks like a band. Where I start having palpitations, and I want you to defend this or not, is when we enter into the Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit. Well, Kid Rock is a lost cause.
I went into this book. I went into this book, with very negative feelings about those groups, but they're legitimate. They are mixing rock and rap, and maybe not your favorite aspects of it, but they are. They're legitimate artists. I mean, I can't believe I'm sitting here defending Limp Bizkit, but I've seen Korn a few times. I mean,
they're legitimate in the sense that they're, they do what they do. I would just argue that they just having a white guy yelling into a microphone does not make you a rapper.
But there's guys like Dr. Dre and guys like that who and Exhibit and guys like that who swear by Fred Durst. So who am I to say?
I then in a sense have my cornball aspect of it. Sorry.
Yeah. They love they love Limp Bizkit. So who am I? I'm not a rapper. So if the rappers say that this is the legitimate act, then again,
I think I would say that it's not that they consider it legitimate. Again, I mean, I can't speak. I would never want to speak for Dr. Dre because he's horrible. He's a horrible person. But I think that they glom onto the same way that white artists glom onto the biggest stereotypes of Black artists. White artists think if they sing in falsetto, it makes them a soul singer, right? Yeah. It's like, no, it doesn't make you a soul singer. Or if they have a bunch of Black people singing behind them, it makes it an R&B record. Right. I think that a lot of rappers, not all, but a fair amount of rappers saw, like Courtney said, the aggression, and that made it rap. That made it rock and roll, man. When it would take, I think it takes in a lot of ways more awareness of musicality, to be, to be a Mos Def, working with Amy Winehouse, or working with Scritti Politti, or working with Gorillaz. I mean, I feel like Gorillaz in a lot of ways did it better.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. And there's all sorts of things that fit in with rock versus rap. I mean, I put trip hop in there.
Yes, talk about that. Controversial.
Well, yeah, no, I got bagged on some review like, oh, really good book, but why is trip hop?
No, Amy and I got into a full discussion about the whole trip hop section of your book, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Yeah. So it is a debate point, because I'm like, no, Massive Attack, like Portishead.
We're not being negative.
I'm just like, and I love them, but I don't really get the rock correlation. So I need you to help me get the rock correlation with trip hop.
Well, it's alternative rock. It's alternative rock meets hip hop. I mean,
but
they're
is
using
it alternative rock? I would say it's more alternative dance.
To me, it's always it rings more close to dance and electronic music than it does to rock music. So that's the debate. So I can see where it's a good debate to have, because then it makes you. It started making me think about some of these records, and I'm like, well, I guess there are guitars here. Yeah. This could be something, and it makes me look at some of the music differently and maybe listen to it differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
we will concede. We're like the guy. What's his name? What's your take? Agree? We're not sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's the great debate of music.
100%.
But if you ask a British person, that I think they would have a different view on that. So.
If you ask a British person, so many things. I mean,
Fair enough.
Come on. They like the Strokes, for Christ's sakes. That's why we're stuck with the Strokes, because someone asked a British person. Yep. No, I applaud you for putting it in there, because it did kind of, as I was reading the book, I'd go, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like, I called Courtney up. I said, okay, you've been reading the book. I said, he puts trip hop in here. We need to, not that
and we were both, and that's what we both said. Well, wait a minute. We start trying to break it down. I'm like, no, I feel like this is more dance leaning, or it reminds me of just housey vibe, or slow down. Right, exactly.
Or dub.
Very foreign.
But we will concede that.
Yeah. I mean, I was a DJ and I played those records, so I get it. But
we will concede it, because you're working on a holiday, and I bumped your time up by an hour. So we will give you that.
That's it. Then, okay.
And then have you back to have a full out steel cage match.
What's the next book? I know you have another one coming. What's the next book?
Oh yeah, there's got to be a next one.
I don't have a next book, because I don't want to do I think I want to keep this as a trilogy.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
3 is the magic. Number. 3 is the magic number.
Yeah. 3 is the magic number. Yep.
How'd you come up with the idea? Were you sitting around one day and you're like, I want to talk about the intersection between rock and different genres? Like, what was the spark?
Well, I started with disco, and then it just led to itself. Because that book did quite well, and I just, I've had these ideas of writing. Every agent I've ever dealt with says write a rock bio, and I just don't want to do it.
Ugh.
Like I just don't want to do it.
But who would you do if you had to do one? Who?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a rock guy.
Would you want them to be alive or dead?
Well, it helps.
Alive, but
they can be alive.
But one of these really fucked up characters, like Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains or something.
The dead one?
No, the live.
No, Lane died. Lane died. Jerry's.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was at Columbia for a bunch of Alice in Chain records.
I don't get it.
They were a big deal. People loved them.
This guy, and Jerry Cantrell is such a damaged character. I mean, he's just, I would get a great, I know people who've played with him, and the stories I hear are just unbelievable. So, I don't know if that's a sellable book. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. And do I want to
Right.
do it? I don't know.
My favorite Damaged Rock calendars. Well, I have so many, but
Yeah.
I feel like there's. Well, no, Jerry Nolan did a really good book about the dolls. I will say that.
Yeah, he
That
did
was
do a good book about the dolls.
That was a
yeah.
real and the as much as Courtney and I do not have any use for Morrissey,
Yeah.
or neither do booking agents across the country at this point.
That is true. That is true.
That documentary on the dolls is phenomenal. And Morrissey, if he did nothing else, he brought them back. But what I was going to ask, just the makeup of the book before we wrap. A lot of it consists. How much of this is current interviews and how much of it is archival stuff from your writing?
I'd say it's about 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Was there?
a lot of it is stuff that I wrote for my magazine and for other magazines like Paper and Interview, and older ones like for Details and things like
Details
that. So.
was
You were
my
getting that
favorite magazine.
You were getting I know, but you remember when Details was a handout?
I was a Details guy. I had a subscription to Details. When Details was shutting down, I was devastated.
Yep.
To me, it was the perfect magazine.
No, it was. I remember
it
it was a handout.
Details and Paper.
Paper used to be amazing.
Paper was great.
Paper was great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked at those places, on top of running my own. So,
Not me. I was a
so I did a
single
lot
mother.
of, and then some of the rock ones were for some rock magazines, right? So,
Right.
But,
I mean,
but there was a lot of people. Like the only person I was kind of bummed about who I really tried to get was Rick Rubin. And
I was
don't
gonna say he
talk to nobody.
rarely talks. Yeah, he's a hard one.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
You know what? Nobody even
I
talks
find
about
the
how
most
I feel like Nina Hagen also flirted with rock and hip hop in her work, and no one ever talks about that with her.
That's a fair one.
know?
Yeah, I didn't consider her, but yeah, that's a very good point.
I will say my favorite thing about Rick Rubin is that he started in a Flipper cover band, because I was a huge Flipper fan.
Yep.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Will Shatter.
Yeah.
We just, before we wrap up, we did want to mention very quickly, speaking of rock and hip hop, the deaths of John Forte, who I went back and listened to Poli Sci. Really underrated guy. I mean, his personal story is like, Jesus Christ. I mean, the poor man went through a nightmare in terms of being in prison and stuff, but a super, super nice guy. Courtney and I both worked with him at some point. I did his bio. He worked in marketing and promotion in Columbia. So rest in peace to him. And Bob Weir, who I'm gonna be that girl. The Grateful Dead meant less than nothing to me. In fact, I didn't like them because everybody was telling me to like them. But then my best friend's good friend, she was a huge Deadhead, and she passed away. And in honor of her memory, I told her daughter on the train ride home, I would listen to a Grateful Dead record. I'd listen to Terrapin Station without judgment. And I went, okay, they don't suck as much as, I don't hate them as much as I used to. So Bob Weir passed, and a major, major figure, Yeah,
I have to mention that part of the When Rock Met Disco book, like I mentioned Kiss and the Rolling Stones and Rod Stewart, but there's also a section in there about the Disco Dead.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the song I like the best.
Yeah.
Because I need a hook. I have the attention span, if you've noticed, about 4 minutes. Anything you're listening to these days that you really like, and then Courtney and I will just name drop a couple of records. Anything you're listening to that you like?
I'm back in a retro kind of period. I always go back and listen to a lot of old records, so nothing new.
Okay.
So nothing like when I finish these book, I stop listening to that music.
Of course, yeah.
I'm here promoting.
It's like being a food critic. It's like being a food critic. You don't want to eat for a while after you keep reviewing restaurants,
Right, yeah. I understand why. And also, people who review restaurants eventually develop food issues.
Or diabetes or something.
Yeah, right. They all end up with diabetes or something, yeah.
The new Salt record came out. Courtney, I know you and I are both fans. I would say this is the record where I hear the not the Massive Attack, the Young Disciples vibe more than anything
this
on
is
this
the record that
I
has
hear
Jimmy
that.
Jam and Terry Lewis production on it.
Right.
Yes.
Really?
Whoa.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Now talk about guys who have
you got me to check out something.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's great. No, they're great. They usually release records. They used to do it like literally like it's going to be out for like pop-ups. It'll be out for 5 seconds and then it disappears. But they have been consistently putting stuff out where you can own it for more than a minute. And they've got that Young Disciples vibe for sure. Cleo Sol is the lead singer. Little Sims used to work with them as well. Yeah, I mean, and their records are, and Courtney and I love a short record. We don't have time for 5 hours of a fucking record. Some of us have to work or go to the bathroom or, I don't know, do something. It's a really good record, Steven. But yeah, when I saw Jam and Lewis were on it,
yeah,
because then you go SOS Band. Of course, they've worked with this kind of vibe before. It's a really. I think you'd really like it.
They were in the band at the time, and they're musicians, so of course they know live
totally
instrumentation. They're not strangers to that.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. You've
check it out.
Piqued my interest.
Good. That's what we're here for. We're here to influence the minds. Since we're too old to be considered influencers, we're influencers when it actually means something. Anyway, let me plug your book one more time. You see, I would hold it up. I usually hold it up so that nobody can see it, like we're live, which we're not, in terms of. But it is Stephen Blush, When Rock. I can't hold up the download. That would be really dumb. When Rock Met Hip Hop by Stephen Blush. It is out when? When does it come out?
February 5th.
February 5th, 2 days after my son's birthday, and 3 days before the end of the world as we know it, a.k.a. the Bad Bunny halftime show.
I'm actually looking forward to that.
My God!
He's going to turn. First of all, what was that explosion show that just happened behind your head? Like, where did that?
Okay,
where did that just come from?
Stick your finger. Stick both fingers up. Like, do a Donald Trump things up. Do it. No, like that. If you're a guest, look like this.
That's what I thought you were going to do. Yeah.
I know.
No, what? It doesn't happen on my. It only ever
reaction.
happens. We'll be talking, and all of a sudden, balloons come out of her head.
Balloons.
Or hearts come from the side. And we don't know why this is happening. And then today, it was an explosion of fireworks. And it's like, why does that keep happening? But it only keeps happening to you.
Well, imagine doing online teaching and suddenly you see balloons coming out of your students' heads, and you know damn well it's not because they're happy to be there or have read the material. But yes,
can I tell you, I've been listening to your favorite person all weekend, Joni Mitchell.
Why do you say
because
that?
you don't like
Honey,
Joni.
I am a
you don't
white
like
girl.
Joni Mitchell.
That is absolute
Every time
bullshit.
Joni Mitchell comes up,
No, I don't like. No. That
Mitchell.
Courtney, you take that back. I am a 66-year-old white woman who grew up on Long Island. It would be absolutely impossible for me not to like Joni Mitchell. I used to listen to Blue as a 14-year-old virgin, going, "This is my story. This is my story." I don't like Joni Mitchell as a human being. I have issues with her as a human being, and I don't like Brandi Carnell's conservatorship of her legacy.
Well,
I think Joni Mitchell is a singular artist. I love, all these people who have come out of the world like Joni. Joni Mitchell's a great artist. You take that back, Courtney.
Well, I've been listening to Hijira all weekend, and then.
That's a great record.
And I've also been listening to The Hissing of Summer Lawns and
That's a great
Don Juan's
record.
Reckless Daughter. And
That's a great
record. I was
record.
listening to Dog Eat Dog this morning, right before we.
That's a good record. I don't like that she is in blackface on these album covers. How's that? That's my issue with her.
That was a little controversial, yes.
Okay, that's my only issue with her. Courtney, I am a 66-year-old white woman who grew up on Long Island. It's bad enough I don't like the Grateful Dead. Can you imagine? I never would have survived. Stop. Yeah. And I had a little soprano voice, and I sang in the school choir.
And then
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about you.
And then the church burned down as soon as you walked out of it. Yep. And on that note, thank you so much for coming on today. You know what it is, everybody. Stephen, two of his books are available now. Pre-order from
When rock met
thank
hip
you.
hop.
rock.
Let me
met
just tell you
pop.
something.
On Bloomsbury
I'm so
Press,
tongue tied.
right?
I
Bloomsbury?
literally sit there. I work in social services and I have to interview people all day. By the third call, sometimes I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry. It's like I can't speak.
I do have to point out one thing that I was really proud of is Le Monde, the paper from Paris,
Yes.
called my book "The Lord of the Flies of Rock Trilogies."
Well,
Okay, I don't even know what that means.
in some ways, I'm
Let's
like,
meaning that the people are eating everyone? I mean, what does that mean?
Just that there's three of the books. That's all.
you gotta love the French.
Wait a minute, Lord of the Flies. You mean Lord? No, you don't mean Lord of the
mean Lord of
Flies.
the
That's the book where
Rings?
people eat people. Rings. You mean Lord of the Rings? You said Lord of the
Oh,
Flies.
Lord of the.
That's
I'm
what
sorry.
we're both.
Yes,
And I was like,
totally blew that.
Lord of the Flies.
Of the
Oh,
where
I
they
totally blew that. Oh my God.
where they
I
beat
was
up where they
like,
beat
does
up
it turn
pigeons.
violent?
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out
Yeah,
what
do they
happened.
Oh,
really?
oh my God.
Do they
I totally.
like
I ruined my plug.
like who's Piggy in this
Yeah.
scenario?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were both. Courtney and I were both like,
Oh boy, did I
okay.
fuck that
I
up.
was like, boy, those
Yeah, we know
French.
those French.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna redo it. Is it true, Stephen, that Le Monde newspaper called your books the Lord of the Rings of rock music anthologies?
Yes, that is exactly what they said. And thank you
Oh,
for pointing
good.
that out,
It's
Amy.
so
No
amazing.
problem.
I like the other one better now.
Well,
Yeah, it's the Mein Kampf of rock.
all right, guys.
writing.
Well, you know, we'll have links to all 3 books on our Facebook. I'm gonna let you finish, or one place. So you know what it is. Follow us there. Follow us here. Tell a friend. Rate the show. Leave a review. Share it, and we'll see you next week. Cause you know it's going to be is our next show our Grammy show? I think our next show is our.
Well, our next show is February 1st. We're taping, but we may have to throw the Grammys. Yeah, well, we're going to talk to
and then we'll tape on the second.
Billy in the morning, and then we'll throw in a Grammy show because
because it's the Grammys, and since once again I've not been nominated, I'm just gonna have to bitterly talk about it. So we'll see you next time. Toodles.
I'll watch it. Bye.